Hey guys, King of Charmanders here, and today I bring to you a video on a Datamine from the very nice version of 69, and this Datamine revealed the first Elder Dragon in Monster Hunter Now, along with the new weapons and monsters for the March update. Credits to Zeratos, I think that's how you say it, on Reddit. Zeratos has been datamined and has been pretty dang accurate for the past 3 posts on their datamine on exactly what is coming out for the next update. So because they've been very consistent, I think they have a lot of credibility for what's coming next. And this is totally it's a datamine, so anything is subject to change, but a datamine released a few days ago revealed some of the new things coming in the March update. Again, these include new weapons, monsters, and more. And one of the biggest pieces of data is the first Elder Dragon coming to Monster Hunter Now. We've been hyping this up forever. We've wanted an Elder Dragons, and now it looks like we're finally going to get it 6 months after the game released. First, we're going to start off with the new weapons, the Charge Blade and Gun Lance. So if you look at this, if you look at the post, CB and GL stands for Charge Blade and Gun Lance respectively. And both weapons have fun capabilities that will make hunts more fun when you use these weapons. First, here's some trailers from Monster Hunter World, and we have the Charge Blade being introduced. It's a sweet weapon where it can morph from a sword and shield combo into a high-powered axe, and it looks absolutely sick. I've never mained the Charge Blade, but I dabbled in it a little bit, and I have 1 or 2 friends that are Charge Blade mains, and they absolutely love it. So it's a super cool weapon variation that can transform. It's super awesome, and as you see here, it's pretty exciting that it's coming to the game. Next is the Gun Lance. So we had the Lance release in Fulminations of Frost. Now we have the Gun Long Range variation. So it has high offensive power thanks to its ability to fire shells. It's essentially like a close range shotgun. If you like Final Fantasy, there's something called in Final Fantasy called the Gun Blade. This is basically a gun blade. And along with that, you have a super large shield that can shell attacks and keep monsters at bay. And as usual with the new weapon types, we also have new large monsters. So we have 2 new large monsters. We have 050 or 050 WST Joe, which equals Devil Joe if you put that together, and 029 WST Odo, which is Odo Garen. And this is kind of interesting. Devil Joe is weak to Dragon, which explains the luckily Lunar New Year event, and Odo Garen is weak to Ice, which explains the Barriath and Legiana week event. So Niantic/Capcom was 9,000 IQ us all along, and this seems to make sense with the new monsters coming out because they are prepping us for the new monsters just because of the previous events that came out right now in February. And just in case you're wondering, here's 2 trailers for Devil Joe. I remember when Devil Joe was first introduced to Monster Hunter World. And for some odd reason, it's a pretty common occurrence. The poor Great Jagras is always the victim of so much abuse. Look at this thing just literally just chucking through the forest with a Great Jagras in its mouth. It's great to say that Devil Joe is in fact, yes, as its name states, the devil. Not only just for hunters, but also for Great Jagras. And now you have Odo Garen. It is basically like Tobi Gadachi, except it's very aggressive, and yeah, it basically has these huge claws that are ready just to take your head off, claw your insides out, and just absolutely maim your body to oblivion once it gets a hold of you. So yes, Odo Garen definitely wasn't, I had a lot of fun hunting it. I didn't have fun getting hunted by it though. And the most exciting part of this content is definitely the first Elder Dragon. 047 WST Kushala equals Kushala Daora. After much anticipation, the first Elder Dragon is possibly making its way into the game. So Kushala Daora was first introduced in Monster Hunter 2. I remember fighting it way back when, and here's a fun fact. Kushala Daora's attack elements are Ice and Dragon. If you're rewatching this video, or you're like, this is another upload, well, it's because I accidentally said it was weak to it. When you're making content at 11 p.m., you're not exactly conscious. So instead of typing and saying its attack elements are Ice and Dragon, I said its weaknesses are. No, its weaknesses are actually Fire, Thunder, and Dragon. So, but with that being said, Ice is the upcoming Barriath and Legiana event, and Dragon is the Lucky Lunar New Year event that is about to pass. So was Niantic/Capcom just foreshadowing with February events and just 9,000 IQing us and giving us little Easter eggs for what's coming up next? The world may never know. Actually, it's Niantic/Capcom, so they probably know. But yes, its attack elements are Ice and Dragon. Now, I'm just going to start calling Kushala Daora just Kushala for short, because that's what everybody calls him. And Kushala is a giant steel dragon that has a ton of wind pressure every time you try to fight it in the game. So I'm expecting to see melee users just have difficulty trying to fight this thing just because of that wind pressure. But also, it is gigantic, and it is weak to ice depending on the terrain, and it's weak to dragon depending on which version you're fighting it in. So it's likely going to be weak to ice and dragon, but I'm also really interested at like how they're going to implement Elder Dragons. Please don't just throw it in a Huntathons. I'm hoping it's a more complex system than it actually is versus just throwing this thing into Huntathons, sharing it with Zinogre, and then when the Kushala gear is actually something you want to go after, guess what? You're just going to have to look for the gathering nodes, and you're either going to have to buy tickets or wait every 3 hours. So hopefully they have a system for Elder Dragons rather than being lazy and just throwing it at Huntathons. And it looks like last but not least, eventually we're going to get our first subspecies after Azerathalos. So this could be the first subspecies of March, and it's going to be 010_01 Coral Puke equals Coral Puke Puke. This is a water elemental variant of Puke Puke, and it is weak to ice and thunder. Instead of shooting poison out of its tail, it's going to shoot water pressure out of its tail. It's basically a firefighter trying to clear the crowd of protesters. We hunters are the protesters, so we're protesting, we want your parts, we just want to take your parts, but it's going to try to blow us away with water pressure. Unfortunately, unlike its regular cousin, Puke Puke, some of you have hunted it to oblivion because poison's a really good element that can take you on to postgame. Unfortunately, its Coral Puke Puke, its subvariant counterpart is water. So water isn't as useful as poison, unfortunately. Yeah, damage-wise, but it doesn't have anything special like poison. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the weapons and armor are for Coral Puke Puke. Also, it's instead of it being green, it's just a coral color. So yeah, at least the colors look pretty, you know what I mean? But yeah, weapons and armor to be continued. Next up, we have Palico Armor. An encrypted portion of the Datamine included Armor Palico. So I got really excited about this. Could this mean that we will finally be able to have our own Palico join us in battle? So I mentioned this in a previous video that we should be able to fight with our Palico in battles just for Monster Hunter Now improvements, and it looks like this is finally coming. I'm super excited. Pokemon Go has buddies. Why isn't Palico fighting alongside your Palico a thing? We already have this thing following us around, getting us materials. Why can't we equip it with armor and weapons and have us follow into battle? We've come a long way from OG Monster Hunter 1, where I remember smacking every Palico to oblivion. But now we have Palicos as a trusty partner that in World you could customize. It follows you in a battle, and they actually did a bunch of collaborations, one of my favorites being the Mega Man armor for the Palico. Yes, you could equip it with weapons and armor, and as you see, it follows you into battle. It's absolutely amazing, and I honestly wish this was a thing from the start, but it's nice that it looks like it's going to come into the game. So at least as solo players, where we don't have a group to hunt with or any close friends, at least we have our trusty Palico to aid us in battle. Hopefully it's customizable as well, just like you see here in Monster Hunter World. And again, I can't wait to see the armor and weapons. Heck, there's Rathalos, you see there's Rathalos, there's Kuluyaku, there's a Puke Puke version. It's just absolutely sweet, and I can't wait to fight alongside of it in this new update. And finally, the last of this Datamine is Layered Armor. So Layered Armor in Monster Hunter World only changes your appearance while you keep the effects of your equipped armor. This will make it so it doesn't look like you are having a wardrobe malfunction when you hunt monsters. So this is where you can look cool and you finally don't look like you have blue, red, and then you have green, and then blue, or whatever. So yes, this is more of an aesthetic thing, and you can create layered armor by gathering their respective materials in Monster Hunter World. So I'm assuming it's going to be the same thing where you gather materials and then you can craft layered armor. So this, you can finally look cool and matching, etc. But it's not going to change your stats again. So at least for those of you, this will just give us something extra to work towards instead of just crafting our regular weapons and armor. Let's hope that some of these are implemented sooner than later once the March update is announced. So, way back when, I remember doing research for the December Datamine, and the December Datamine revealed battle items, and those haven't been released yet. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait, and hopefully Niantic/Capcom just didn't forget about it. But things like Palico Armor and Layer Armor, I think the community would really love it if those things came out, so please don't forget about those, Niantic. And again, let's hope that it's implemented sooner than later. But here's a fun fact. So, Kushala Daora, my friend just talked to me this morning about it, and he's like, yo, you know, Kushala Daora's weaknesses are Dragon, Thunder, and Fire. If you played Monster Hunter Explorer, I don't think many people have, but it was good. But with Thunder, you have Zinogre. With Fire, you have the Lucky Lunar New Year event, and with Fire, you have Azarathlos. So it's kind of a, I don't know if Niantic was, I don't know if that was on purpose, but just a cool little Easter egg. With that being said, please do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Again, I hope you're excited for the March update. I definitely am too, and I can't wait. Good luck on your grind, and I will see y'all on the next video.